Big exciting news with 12 days until election night. 12 days. It's down to this. The final push for President Trump to show that he wants to put stimulus in your hands before election night is of the moment. Executive orders, hashtag MSC, getting it done, sending out stimulus check, bigger stimulus checks, more FPUC, more LWA. Will he get the message, or will we sit back and do much of nothing and talk about how wonderful everything is? Tonight's the debate. Today is the day to do the stimulus. Today is the focus. And will he get it right? This is 28. Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Thursday morning, and this is a blockbuster recording of 28, which counts down the final 28 days before the presidential election. We're now 12 days away from election night. Will the president get it right and do stimulus? Let's find out. Go to the Furnace channel, subscribe. Now a 300,000 subscriber community. Really appreciate you. Really appreciate you becoming part of this family. If you've not, subscribe. Also hit the alert on the Furnace channel so you do not miss a video when it goes live. We're pushing our videos a little bit tighter in the afternoon. Rather than 30 minutes apart, they're now about 20 minutes apart because you apparently like it. I like it too. Also like this video. It's helping the video appear higher in the algorithm. All right, let me go over what I'll be covering in this video. The polls. Despite whatever poll you poll, it's not good for this president. It's signaling that he needs to do executive orders right now. Second, if he did executive orders right now, how would they work? With 12 days away, could he use the benefits of giving you the stimulus in your hand before you go to the polling place? Or is he going to wait and mess this one up again and do it after you vote, but before election, have the check arrive in your hand after you vote, but know that you're voting with a check coming in the mail? Is he going to get it right? Mixed messaging. The president has been mixed message about stimulus and the economy. Will he get on message tonight? This is the person who said he's going to make America great. Well, trying to make America great again by sending out stimulus right now. Economic data. New economic data again. Yet again, good. So will this give more reason to this president to do nothing? Because the economic data is good. 5, stalling. Is Nancy Pelosi setting up a stall tactic for this president so he doesn't do economic relief? That he just looks at something that is not formulated and say, hey, it's really good, when Americans want the relief in hand, not talk. Finally, is a Pelosi setup underway? Is this all the last week, a distraction to set the president up for failure? Boy, this is a big broadcast, and if you've not, please try to subscribe and share all these videos on Facebook. Also tune into Early Morning to LALATE and LALATE before this one. All right, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news as you start this morning is that the poll numbers are not good. It is, despite whether you look at the polls in a conservative publication or a liberal publication or a middle-of-the-road publication, the polls are not good for this president. He is not in a commanding lead, and he's not in a lead in the swing states. Rather, he's ahead in 2 states and tied in a 3rd state, and that the rest of the race still could be won by the president if he pulls off an October surprise. He's currently tied in Ohio. He's currently up 2 points in Texas. He's currently up 1 point in Iowa. Then you have the places where it's still close. In North Carolina and Georgia, Biden's up by about 3 points. That's much of nothing. 3 points can be won by a stimulus check. Even a measly stimulus check, let alone a really good stimulus check. And then you have the places that simply are getting untangled and unraveled. He's behind 8 points in Michigan, 7 points in Wisconsin, 7 points in Pennsylvania, 7 points in Florida, and then 5 points in Arizona. So as you see here, let me do the numbers with you. Sending out a stimulus check by executive order and I'm just talking about an average stimulus check. I'm not talking about a really good one, which is what Purple Power is pushing for. I'm talking about just a simple $1,200 stimulus check. One. What would that do for the numbers? Well, Trump would be ahead in he would be ahead in Texas, Ohio, Iowa. He would be either tied or ahead in Georgia. And he would be tied in North Carolina, which would put Biden ahead only in 1, 2, 3, 4 states of the swing. It would make it basically almost a dead heat. You see how I do this analysis for you? A measly bad stimulus check, when I say bad, I mean just a small stimulus check, would make it a dead heat. Well, how about a $4,000 stimulus check or $3,000 stimulus check? What would that do? By all accounts, if he did it today and he sent out the stimulus check, you would get it by election night because it's 12 days away from now. Now, ultimately, some people get things later. Banks take different routing times for everyone, but people would see the impact of it. And I want you to understand as I record this video today that I've been saying over the last few days, the impact of sending out the stimulus check is good. It's not as great as people actually receiving it in their hands. But if you went into the polling place on this day and you know the check's arriving tomorrow, you still like that scenario. You would not dislike the scenario. So if he did a $4,000 stimulus check, which is what Purple Power is pushing for, had better FPUC, had more money for FPUC, what would that do for the polls? Well, he would be leading in Texas. He would take Ohio. He would take Iowa. He would take Georgia. He would take North Carolina. He would be a dead heat in Arizona. So basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He could potentially be ahead or winning 5 of the swing states, as opposed to now where he's at 2. You see how dramatically, categorically different this makes it seem. And I don't understand why the president's team doesn't see the impact of this. Now, I understand they want to wait to the 11th hour, but this is a big push. Let me get to mixed messaging. What the president has not done is been on message. A new CNBC report in the last 48 hours says that 63% of Americans want a vote on a stimulus relief bill. They don't want talk, they want a vote, and they want the check in their hand. That's the first new poll. Second new poll says that Trump is behind on Biden for economic policy, which is absolutely categorically shocking because Biden has given no economic policy about stimulus relief, been silent about it. The president talks about stimulus almost every 12 hours, and Joe Biden only says about stimulus that he's going to pay for it by raising your taxes. The president is not going to be doing that. President Trump will not be doing that. He said that very clearly. So with even that type of data, the president is behind in economic polls in which people are asked, who would you trust the economy for going forward in the next presidential term? Then we have economic data. Is this president off message because the economic data is really good? Let me explain to you. First, new jobless claims number came in this morning. I detailed them on mornings or LALATE. It's a really good number. It's the best number since March 15th. It's a big number to brag about. It shows success by the president on dealing with the economy. Second, the GDP number shows the U.S. GDP, which fell 30%, rebounded 35% in the third quarter. Another number to brag about. And then you have home starts and all those other type of numbers you can brag about. These are all really good numbers. Ultimately, what I'm concerned about with you and me is that a president may sit back and say, hey, I've done really good. You should just be happy of what you have. Thank you. Good night. Wait a second. What about my stimulus now? Well, yeah, I don't think you need it. I'm not even getting to the airlines. The airlines this morning, Southwest Airlines, announced that it's doing relatively well considering the situation, has reversed routes and take routes off the map, and that they're going to do well. This is coming from the airlines that said we're going to go belly up if we didn't get $20 million on October 1st. Well, guess what? They're doing very well. So what's interesting to see here is that even though Trump lost the national popular vote last time, he had a big margin in the Electoral College. This time, he's not ahead in the Electoral College and needs to have a wake-up call. We're at the 9-minute mark. I have a lot coming up for you about the amount of executive orders, amount of stimulus checks, and amount about FPUC and hazard pay. Also, I'll be going over what you should be thinking about in the next 48 hours as Mnuchin and Pelosi continue to negotiate about this. All right, let's get to the stimulus checks. The stimulus checks. The president needs to do executive order for at least $4,000 of stimulus checks. Why? Because he has the money for it. Earth to Mars. It's just like, thank you, Captain Obvious. He has enough money to do $4,000 stimulus checks by executive orders. I didn't detail that on the morning's LALATE. I apologize. Let me explain how much money he has for how much money for stimulus checks. He has $800 billion. How much does $800 billion cover? It covers about $5,000 in a stimulus check. I don't think he's going to send out a $5,000 stimulus check. I think he could do a $4,000 stimulus check and then use the remaining $200 billion for another round of LWA. First, he already has LWA on the map. He already has an executive order for LWA. He's already had FEMA repurpose its disaster relief money for unemployment assistance. Every time I say it, I just like, okay, there's a hurricane, but I'm going to give it to you for unemployment. What? Yeah, we're going to be doing that. So he can call up Javita Carranza, because I know they're just, scarf buddies, and say, hey, Javita, you have that $800 billion? Yeah. What do you want me to do, Mr. President? I want you to send $200 billion. I want you to announce to the states that they are to come to you and get the $200 billion of it for another round of LWA. Oh, okay. So they will apply to you for the $200 billion of LWA. Okay. And then for the $400 billion of LWA, I want you to send that out as a stimulus check. The $600 billion that's remaining, I want to send it out as a $4,000 stimulus check to all American households. Oh, okay. And Treasury will help with you with the addresses of people from the IRS. The IRS will provide you the addresses. Okay, great. Done. It is so inherently obvious, simple, and the entire relief that Americans want. And let me make something else clear, which I haven't said in a while. No one wants this $800 billion anymore. Mitch McConnell's bill died yesterday. His other bill died the debate before. So no one wants this $800 billion. There's $800 billion and no one wants it. In fact, Nancy Pelosi's bill and Steve Mnuchin's negotiations on that bill, that doesn't touch this $800 billion. It just gives more money on top of more money. You know what? There's that $800 billion. Repurpose it. Get it out now. Next, stalling. Boy, stalling. It's important to understand, as we see here today, that Donald Trump has really not been dealing with this on the come. He has been waiting too long. And what a lot of Republicans have said to the president, whether he's gotten this message from me, because, I sort of think he's watching, or whether he's gotten this message from Mark Meadows, who we sort of think is really watching, or whether he's gotten the message from Steve Mnuchin, that Nancy Pelosi is, by all accounts, trying to stall the process so that the president doesn't do executive orders. And I've seen your comments. You have said the same comment as well. That ultimately the president could have done executive orders weeks ago, but saw Nancy Pelosi making progress. And that at that point he said, you know what, I'll just deal with it with Nancy. I won't do the executive orders. That doesn't work if you keep on dealing with her and you don't get anywhere. Hence comes to my next final item. A Nancy Pelosi setup. Is Nancy Pelosi setting up the president? Is Nancy Pelosi setting up the Republicans? Is Nancy Pelosi setting up everyone to fail and not give them stimulus and think it was coming, and that when you could have done executive orders, you could have done your Supreme Court nominee, you could have done all your other things and got them done very quickly. She's been setting you up to follow you down this path that ends in the Temple of Doom. There is a lot of news reports that say that. And Mitch McConnell yesterday warned Republicans that he believes that's happening. Let me explain what this is. What this means is there's a couple of theories behind this. One, that the president could have done executive orders but hasn't because he was relying upon, hopefully, a deal with Nancy Pelosi. That's the most obvious, clearest situation. Second, that the president was expecting a deal with Nancy Pelosi and that he was expecting to introduce it to the Senate to formulate at least a deal, maybe not a law, and that at the 11th hour he's going to find out Nancy Pelosi could say, no, you know what, we tried really hard, but we don't even have a deal. Forget that 48 hours, this Friday. We don't even have a deal. See you election night. Bye. Wait a second, what did you just do to me? I thought we were going to have a deal. No, sorry. And so in that regard, she's going to set everyone up to think that the president was to blame once again and that there was no deal. Finally, she may ultimately try to formulate a deal, send it to the Senate, and this is the one that Mitch really talks about a lot. Formulate a deal, send it to the Senate, and then ultimately the Senate bickers about it so much that it makes the Republicans look like a bunch of people who shouldn't be reelected because they don't want to give a lot of stimulus. And that is a very good tactic, because we heard Marco Rubio this morning saying, he's not saying specifically, I don't think I like this bill, but I'll support it, but it's really bad, and I know a lot of people won't support it as well. October surprises. As Guardian reported this week, there could still be time for an October surprise with November just third around the way. In the event of a Biden victory, Trump could plunge the world's oldest democracy into crisis, disputing the results in court. Conspiracy theories abound thereafter. The question is whether or not this president will get the message out and get it done today, or get it done tomorrow, or get it done on Friday, or will ever get it done, because the presidential debate is tonight and millions of Americans want to hear what his stimulus relief is. Let me go over some incredible questions and comments from yesterday. Billy Woods, Purple Power, President Trump needs to do a show, everybody. He's a president, and sign the executive order and send the case out now. Amen. James Carlos, if they don't get this done now, there will be no Christmas for millions of children. TikTok, we need to freeze the government's paychecks. Leslie, the people will remember this day. Sheila, I come here. Come on, Trump. Get the orders done. Cora, I'm really expecting the president to step up today. Albert, I think the president's people who have kids would like them to get something for Christmas. These comments are 19 hours ago, by the way. Kevin Hamilton, evidently President Trump doesn't have the balls to initiate executive order. Jamie, Mitch McConnell is stopping the stimulus check. Haley Hagen, not going to hold my breath anymore. Kim Wachata, they're more concerned about getting reelected than they are about the lives of American people. Amen, they are. Absolutely great comment, Jim Wakoviak. Richard Buds, we won't forget you either, Pelosi. Schumer, you're fired. Richard Buds, I could care less about the stock market. I see homeless people, hungry people, and family are suffering. Send the damn checks. Mark Daniels, come on, Mr. President, get the executive orders. David Koch, how many people have run out of money? Lisa McCord, I'm starting to wonder if Trump really wants to be reelected. R. Medellin, we're living in a world where moral climates have no atmosphere. Marcella Jenkins, Mitch and Nancy have I got you both Purple Power chair rocking, so both of you can rock the hell away from me. Kevin Holliday, just vote them all out. Mark McCarthy, I guess they forgot their seats are up for re-election. Seats for stimulus. Toby Lavere, please, no more words, just get it out. Jesus Ferreira, he needs to get those executive orders out today. Amen. One thing I forgot to mention earlier in the broadcast is what a personal message for you is what I'm thinking about is the few days before Halloween. I understand that a lot of the millions of Americans won't be able to have children celebrate Halloween because of this pandemic. So what I'm envisioning to potentially do is record a lot of videos in costume and keep the tone of the recordings, G-rated. And so if your children are unable to trick-or-treat because of your community has lockdowns or they've forbidden trick-or-treating, you can have your kids watch these videos. I will be in a costume. I'll try to do as many different costumes as I can. I'll have fun. I'm not going to explain why I have so many costumes, but it'll be a way for your children to tune in and have some fun and give a moment of fun, and hopefully the second stimulus discussions won't doze them off during that as well. But go to Fun's channel, subscribe because this is a great community and we're going to get through this together. Also like this video. Coming up next is Afternoons LA at 3:30 Pacific Standard Time, a 2-hour broadcast, but the videos are going to come in tighter today, so tune in. Make sure you watch all those videos. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay alive.